First Contact's Melody. Senior observer VEX 427 had studied 17 species across the galaxy, but none had ever made her question the fundamental principles of xenobiology, quite like the humans. She stood motionless in her observation pod, hovering invisibly above what the locals called Afghanistan, watching through enhanced sensors as a group of human soldiers advanced through a mountain pass. The humans should have retreated. Every tactical simulation predicted it. Their supply lines were stretched thin, they were outnumbered, and the terrain heavily favored their opponents. Yet they advanced, and they did something that defied all military logic. They sang. The sound reached her sensors first as a low rumble, then built into what her translation matrix identified as "the army goes rolling along." The humans' voices echoed off the mountain walls, growing stronger with each step forward. Their neural patterns showed elevated endorphin levels, increased pain tolerance, and most surprisingly, enhanced unit cohesion. "Impossible," VEX 427 muttered, her secondary eyes blinking rapidly as she recorded the data. Musical vibrations should not affect combat effectiveness. But they did. The singing soldiers moved with uncanny coordination, their movements synchronized not to tactical algorithms, but to the rhythm of their song. When enemy fire rang out, instead of scattering, they drew closer together. Their voices grew louder, drowning out the sound of bullets. VEX 427 switched to thermal imaging, expecting to see the usual signs of fear and stress. Instead, she found something that made her question everything she knew about combat psychology. The humans' heat signatures showed excitement, determination, and something her systems couldn't quite classify. A unique neural pattern that seemed to spread from soldier to soldier through the song itself. She sent an urgent transmission to the Science Council. Request immediate consultation. Humans display previously unknown phenomenon. Sonic combat enhancement with cultural characteristics. Traditional military response protocols may be insufficient. The Council's reply was swift and unprecedented. Continue observation. Priority level elevated to maximum. If humans can turn cultural expressions into combat advantages, they may be more dangerous than initially assessed. As night fell, VEX 427 maintained her vigil. The humans had secured their position, and now they sat around small fires, still singing. But these songs were different, slower, filled with what her emotional analysis systems identified as longing, remembrance, and determination. She recorded everything, knowing that understanding this phenomenon might be crucial for humanity's future classification in the galactic community. What she didn't yet realize was that she had stumbled upon something far more significant than a military tactic. She was witnessing the first evidence of what would later be called the Harmony Protocol, humanity's unique ability to transform abstract cultural concepts into tangible combat advantages. As she prepared her formal report, VEX 427 added a personal notation. Caution advised in any future military engagement with humanity. Their songs are not merely sound. They are weapons forged from the very essence of their cultural identity. We may find ourselves fighting not just against their bodies and technology, but against the accumulated weight of their entire cultural history, given voice through music. The humans below had no idea they were being watched, no idea that their songs were being analyzed by alien intelligence. They simply sang as their ancestors had sung for thousands of years, to remember home, to strengthen their bonds, to face death with courage. And in doing so, they were unknowingly demonstrating why humanity would soon become one of the most fascinating and feared species in the galaxy. For VEX 427, this was just the beginning of a discovery that would challenge everything the galaxy thought it knew about warfare. The humans had found a way to turn their stories, their emotions, and their cultural memory into a weapon more powerful than any plasma cannon or quantum torpedo. They had weaponized their very humanity through song. As she watched the fires below slowly die out, the last notes of Amazing Grace floating up through the mountain air, VEX 427 felt something she had never experienced in all her years of xenological research, a shiver of something between fear and awe. The galaxy was about to change, and it would change to the sound of human battle songs. The Symphony of War. Fleet Commander Ixal stared at the holographic battle simulation for the 18th time, his crystalline appendages clicking in frustration. The artificial intelligence controlling their combat predictions had never failed before, not in 3 centuries of warfare across 12 star systems. Yet here it was, producing error messages as it attempted to model human combat behavior. "Run it again," he ordered, his voice resonating through the command chamber of the flagship Eternal algorithm. "Focus on Squad 7's anomalous behavior during the Earth engagement." The simulation flickered to life, showing a group of human Marines surrounded by superior forces. The AI predicted a 99.8% probability of retreat or surrender. Instead, the humans had begun singing something their cultural database identified as the Marines' hymn. What followed defied every tactical principle in the known galaxy. The surrounded Marines hadn't just fought. They had transformed. Their neural patterns shifted, their combat effectiveness doubled, and most inexplicably, their actions became completely unpredictable to the AI's combat algorithms. It was as if the music itself scrambled their tactical analysis systems. "Report from Science Division," announced his second-in-command, Lieutenant Zora. Her bioluminescent patterns pulsed with concern as she projected the data. They analyzed 1,000 Earth combat recordings. The phenomenon repeats across all human cultures, all military branches, all time periods. When humans sing in battle, they become irregular. Ixal's primary sensing organ pulsed with deep blue light, a sign of intense concentration among his species. Irregular how? Their neural patterns sync to the music's rhythm, creating what our xenobiologists are calling cultural resonance. It's as if their songs activate collective memories, shared experiences, emotional states that enhance their combat capabilities beyond normal physiological limits. The simulation continued playing, showing how the Marines had not only survived but achieved objectives that should have been impossible. Their movements hadn't followed any known tactical doctrine. Instead, they had moved to the rhythm of their song, using patterns that seemed chaotic but proved devastatingly effective. "The humans call it esprit de corps," Zora continued, her patterns shifting to indicate confusion. "We have no direct translation. The closest concept would be spirit of the body, but that fails to capture the full phenomenon." Ixal accessed the cultural database, scanning through centuries of human military history. Everywhere he looked, music and warfare intertwined. The Scottish Highlands echoed with bagpipes that terrified their enemies. Roman legions marched to drums that could be heard for miles. Modern armies still trained to cadence calls that were centuries old. They've weaponized their entire cultural history, he realized, his crystalline form resonating with the implications. Every song carries the weight of their past victories, their shared sacrifices, their collective will to survive. Our AI can't predict their actions because it's not just fighting against tactical decisions, it's fighting against the accumulated weight of human history expressed through music. A new alert flashed across the command screen. Another engagement had begun on the colony world of New Eden. The humans were badly outnumbered, cut off from reinforcements. By every mathematical model, they should surrender. Instead, the sensors picked up the first notes of something called the Battle Hymn of the Republic. "Should we adjust the tactical eye?" Zara asked, her patterns showing increasing distress. "Try to compensate for the musical variable." Ixal watched as the human forces began to move, their actions once again defying prediction algorithms that had served perfectly for centuries. "No," he said finally, "we need to completely rethink our approach. We've been treating this as a tactical problem to solve. It's not. It's a cultural phenomenon we need to understand." He issued new orders to all fleet commanders. Effective immediately, priority shifts from combat engagement to cultural analysis. Record all human battle songs. Study their histories, their meanings, their effects on both human and alien psychology. We need to understand not just how they fight, but why they sing. As the orders went out, Ixel continued watching the battle unfold on New Eden. The humans were singing louder now, their voices carrying across the battlefield through their comm channels. Their neural patterns showed impossible levels of coordination and resolve. Their songs, he mused, his crystalline form vibrating in harmony with the distant human voices. They're not just weapons or tools. They're who they are. Every note carries the echo of their species' journey from cave-dwelling primitives to starfaring civilization. How do you fight against that? The answer, he was beginning to suspect, was that you didn't. You either learned to understand it, or you would be swept away by the tide of human determination, set to the music of their undying spirit, harmonies of resistance. Anthropologist Naira 9 had spent 3 Earth years disguised as a human ethnomusicologist, and she still wasn't sure if she was conducting research or falling in love with the species' soul. Her quantum-shifted skin tingled as she sat in the recovery ward of a military hospital, recording what she witnessed while maintaining her cover as a researcher studying the psychological effects of music therapy on veterans. Before her, a soldier who had lost both legs in combat was learning to walk again with prosthetics. His physical therapist had started playing Blood Upon the Risers, an airborne infantry song. The change was immediate and measurable by her concealed sensors. The soldier's neural patterns shifted, his pain indicators dropped, and most remarkably, his movement patterns began matching those recorded in his muscle memory from before the injury. "It reminds me of my first jump," the soldier told her, not knowing he was speaking to an alien anthropologist. "Every time I hear it, I'm back there with my unit. The fear doesn't matter anymore. Nothing matters except doing what needs to be done." Naira 9 made careful notes while her hidden systems recorded everything. This wasn't just about combat enhancement anymore. The songs were serving as neural bridges, connecting past and present, individual and group, physical limitation and unlimited spirit. Later that night, in her secure observation pod, she compiled her findings for the Science Council. Human battle songs serve multiple functions previously unknown to xenopsychology, she reported. They act as neural synchronizers, cultural memory storage, pain suppressants, and group consciousness amplifiers. But there's something else, something our instruments can barely detect. She hesitated, knowing her next words would be controversial. "I believe we've discovered a form of sonic quantum entanglement. When humans sing together in battle or in recovery, their neural patterns show signs of quantum coherence. They're not just communicating. They're linking consciousness through harmonic resonance." The council's response was swift and alarmed. "Explain how a pre-quantum civilization has achieved consciousness entanglement through primitive sound vibrations." "They don't know they're doing it," Naira 9 replied. "It's not technology. It's something that evolved alongside their music, their warfare, and their culture. Every battle song carries the quantum echoes of every time it's been sung before. When humans sing, the army goes rolling along. They're not just remembering past battles. They're literally connecting with the accumulated experiences of every soldier who ever sang it." Her research took her next to a military choir practice. The harmonies they created weren't just beautiful. They were tactically significant. Her instruments detected the same quantum patterns forming between the singers that appeared in combat situations. They were practicing more than music. They were strengthening the neural networks that would keep them alive in battle. One evening, a young sergeant asked her, "Have you ever noticed how different units have different songs, but somehow they all feel the same? Like they're all telling pieces of the same story?" Naira 9 had noticed. Her analysis showed that despite vast differences in melody, rhythm, and language, all human battle songs shared certain quantum harmonics. They were all waves in the same ocean of human experience, each contributing to a larger symphony of survival, courage, and determination. She began to understand why the fleet's tactical AI couldn't predict human behavior during musical combat events. The songs weren't just affecting individual soldiers. They were creating quantum fields of shared consciousness that operated outside normal space-time constraints. Every battle cry, every marching cadence, every mournful ballad of wars past was literally bending reality through the power of collective human will. In her final report to the Council, Naira 9 wrote, "We have grossly underestimated humanity. Their battle songs are not primitive cultural artifacts. They are sophisticated consciousness-altering technologies that they developed naturally over thousands of years. They don't just sing about their history. They sing themselves into harmony with it, drawing strength from an invisible network of shared human experience that spans centuries." She added a personal note, "I no longer believe we can counter this phenomenon. How do you fight an enemy whose songs can bend quantum reality? How do you defeat warriors who carry the strength of their entire species' history in their voices? Perhaps the better question is, why would we want to?" As she finished her report, the sounds of Amazing Grace drifted up from the hospital's memorial garden. A group of veterans had gathered to remember fallen comrades. Naira 9's instruments detected the familiar quantum patterns forming, bridging past and present, life and death, individual and collective. For the first time in her career, she didn't just observe, she listened. And in listening, she began to understand that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their technology or their tactics. It was their ability to sing themselves into something greater than the sum of their parts, to turn music into a force that could reshape reality itself. The counter-melody. Admiral Zix stood before the combined Fleet Council, his bioluminescent patterns pulsing with what his species recognized as profound discomfort. The holographic displays behind him showed the results of their latest attempt to counter humanity's sonic warfare capabilities. The data was, to put it mildly, embarrassing. "Our attempt to replicate human battle songs has failed," he announced, his translator converting his harmonic vibrations into standard galactic basic. Despite perfectly recreating the acoustic patterns and even implementing quantum resonance generators, our forces showed no improvement in combat effectiveness. The council chamber erupted in a cascade of colors and sounds as various alien species expressed their frustration. They had spent the equivalent of 3 Earth years studying human battle songs, analyzing every frequency, mapping every neural response, even recreating the exact conditions under which humans used them. Yet something crucial eluded them. "Show them the Titan incident," Zix commanded, and the holographic display shifted to footage from their most recent engagement. The scene showed an alien strike force attacking the human mining colony on Titan. The aliens had deployed their new sonic warfare systems, broadcasting precisely engineered replicas of human battle songs. According to their models, this should have created confusion in the human ranks, disrupting their ability to form the quantum consciousness links that made their original songs so effective. Instead, the humans had laughed. Then they had started singing their own songs, drowning out the artificial broadcasts with genuine voices. The neural synchronization patterns that the aliens had tried so hard to replicate appeared instantly among the human defenders, stronger than ever. "We misunderstood something fundamental," Zix continued. "The power isn't in the songs themselves. We can replicate every frequency, every harmony, every quantum resonance pattern, but we can't replicate this." He played another recording, this time from a hidden observation post near a human military base. A group of off-duty soldiers were sitting around a fire, singing something their database identified as "Wild Blue Yonder." Their neural patterns showed the same quantum synchronization effects as combat situations, but there was no battle, no threat, no tactical necessity. "They sing because it's who they are," said Science Director Ilara, her crystalline form shifting thoughtfully. "We've been trying to use their songs as a weapon, but that's not what they are to humans. They're more like a language of the soul." The concept of a soul was still debated among xenobiologists, but in that moment, every being in the council chamber understood what she meant. They had all seen the data, all watched humans transform themselves through song in ways that defied their most advanced scientific understanding. "There's more," Zix added, his patterns shifting to indicate discovery. "We've detected trace quantum signatures in human historical sites, particularly battlefields. Their songs don't just affect the present. They echo through time itself. Each battle song carries the accumulated emotional resonance of every time it's been sung before." He played one final recording. It was from a small human settlement that had been attacked by pirates. The settlers, though untrained in combat, had started singing an ancient song called Men of Harlech. The quantum scans showed them linking not just with each other, but with centuries of human warriors who had sung the same song before them. "We can't replicate this," Zix concluded. "Not with all our technology, not with all our understanding of quantum mechanics. We're trying to reproduce something that took humanity thousands of years to develop naturally. It's not just about the music. It's about the history, the shared experience, the cultural memory encoded in every note." A member of the council, representing a species of pure energy beings, pulsed with curiosity. "Then what do you suggest? How do we counter an advantage we cannot replicate?" Zix's patterns shifted to what his species used to indicate a paradigm shift. "Perhaps we've been asking the wrong question. Instead of trying to counter their songs, maybe we should be trying to understand why they sing. These aren't weapons they created. They're expressions of something fundamental to their species, something we might learn from." He brought up one final display, showing human neural patterns during different types of songs: battle hymns, laments, victory celebrations, remembrance dirges. Each created its own unique quantum signature, but all were interconnected in ways their science was only beginning to grasp. "Humans don't sing to fight," he said. "They sing to connect, with each other, with their history, with something greater than themselves. We've been studying their songs as weapons, but they're really bridges. Bridges between past and present, between individual and community, between the physical world, and something our instruments can barely detect." The council chamber fell silent as the implications sank in. They had sought to understand humanity's songs in order to counter them, only to discover something far more profound. It wasn't just about warfare anymore. They had stumbled upon something that might change their understanding of consciousness itself. Final movement. The Great Hall of the Galactic Council had never hosted a performance before. For millennia, it had been a place of politics, strategy, and occasionally war. But today, its crystalline walls would resonate with something entirely new: a human choir, standing before representatives of 1,000 alien species. High Commander Vex 427, formerly senior observer, stood at her position among the council leaders. Her earlier research had led to this moment, though not in any way she could have predicted. Beside her, Fleet Commander Ixel's crystalline form pulsed with anticipation, while anthropologist Naira 9 maintained her human disguise among the choir members. "Are we certain about this?" asked one of the council members, their atmospheric patterns showing concern. "Allowing humans to perform their battle songs in the heart of galactic governance. That's exactly why we must," Vex 427 responded. "We've learned that understanding comes not through analysis alone, but through experience." The human choir stepped forward. They wore no uniforms, carried no weapons, but their presence commanded attention more effectively than any military display. Among them were soldiers, veterans, civilians, a cross-section of humanity, chosen to demonstrate what their songs truly meant. They began with Amazing Grace, the same song Vex 427 had first recorded years ago in those Afghan mountains. But this time, the aliens were prepared. Quantum sensors throughout the chamber captured everything: the neural synchronization, the temporal echoes, the consciousness-linking harmonics the humans created so naturally. As the sound filled the chamber, something unprecedented occurred. The aliens' own neural patterns began to shift, synchronizing not just with each other but with the humans as well. The quantum field generated by the choir expanded, touching minds that had evolved on worlds thousands of light years apart. "They're not attacking," Ixel observed, his crystalline form resonating with the harmonics. "They're inviting us in." The choir transitioned to the battle hymn of the Republic, but not as a war song. They sang it as a story, a shared memory, an invitation to understand why humans sang in their moments of greatest trial. Through the quantum field, the aliens experienced fragments of human history, not just the battles, but the courage, sacrifice, and unshakable hope that the songs had always represented. Naira 9, still in her human disguise, joined in the singing. Her research had led her to understand that these songs were never about war at all. They were about being human, about finding strength in unity, about carrying the weight of history and the dreams of the future in every note. The quantum sensors recorded something remarkable. The songs were creating new neural pathways, not just among humans, but across species. What had begun as a military mystery was becoming a bridge between fundamentally different forms of consciousness. As the performance continued, the council members experienced human songs as humans did, not as weapons or tools, but as expressions of something universal. The quantum field carried emotions that transcended species barriers: courage, loss, hope, determination, the will to stand together against darkness. In the aftermath of the performance, as the quantum field slowly dissipated, the council chamber was silent. The aliens had finally understood what their studies and analyses could never reveal. Humanity's songs weren't a military advantage to be countered, but a gift to be shared. VEX 427 stepped forward to address the council. "We sought to understand human battle songs to defend against them. In doing so, we discovered something far more valuable. A way to bridge the gap between different forms of consciousness, different ways of experiencing reality itself." The council's decision was unanimous. Human songs would not be classified as weapons, but as a new form of diplomatic technology. The quantum harmonics that humans created so naturally could serve as the foundation for deeper understanding between species. Years later, human choirs would become a common sight throughout the galaxy. Their songs, once feared as weapons, became known as bridges between worlds. The quantum fields they generated helped species share experiences and emotions that no translation matrix could convey. And in times of peace and war alike, humans continued to sing, not just their battle songs, but all their songs. They sang of joy and sorrow, of victory and loss, of the unbreakable bonds between those who stand together in darkness and light. The galaxy learned to listen, and in listening, learned that the most powerful force in the universe wasn't technology or weapons or even quantum physics. It was the ability to share your story, to lift your voice with others, to turn the music of your soul into a bridge across the stars. In the end, humanity's greatest contribution to the galaxy wasn't their battle songs. It was teaching the universe how to sing.